established protocols, the platforms I'm standing on to share with you. Now, the main subject would be the quality of life. And that is the reason we have met here. Besides your own major reason, the quality of life. And what is the quality of life? God gave it to us. And we need to enjoy it as we are here till we leave here. But issues about life sometimes deny us of our own access to this personal opportunity, personal support system that God has given us, the quality of life. It includes our perspectives about politics, social justice, spirituality. In fact, if you search it, Google is now our classroom, whether we like it or not. It's only that sometimes you will not agree with some submissions. And that is the opportunity for you to create your own because of experience, so that you can also place something out there for someone to reference it to support their going. So, how do we obtain this quality of life? We get the quality of life from two pedals. One is empowered employment. The other is improved livelihood. So you see, you've been employed by government. So government is your employer. And it tells you what to do. Government tells you when to go, when to stop. I listened to the telltale and I could see that I am dealing with mathematicians, advanced scientists, researchers, people who understand their subject, who understand what they are doing. So you don't trifle with the systems. Because you are dealing with life. You know what it is if you make the mistake, what the outcomes are. So with respect to the hypocritical oath that you take, I am not a technological practitioner that some of you do with surgery and the rest. I am only a coach. So I share the same protocols with you at that level, but mine is to support you with encouragement. So the support I am giving you now is how to live your life in fulfillment. And how do you engage that? You have family, and you need to provide for the family. I looked across your mission and vision, and I could see that I have to work within that framework to hit on your interests and help you with the understanding of what you want to achieve with your vision and mission. That is your interest area. Those are your prayers. Those are your wishes. In literature, we know that prayer is a wish. So probably we have gone to the extreme when it comes to spirituality by verbalizing prayer and doing so many things there. I'm a preacher, though. I started with a Catholic. Not my wish, but it's my mother who was not giving birth to a male, went to the Catholic priest to pray that if God blesses her with a male factor, she would sacrifice him to do the work of God. So I started with the Catholic Church. Some of you are seminarians and priests. And so Cardinal Appiah Texan has become my mentor because he taught me geography in the seminary. And so we are connected because we're traveling across. And this same subject I am treating is what is handling at the Vatican. So you know the Catholic discipline. They understand life and they manage life very well. So when you Google integral human development, you would know that the Castries handle that in various ways. To let you understand yourself, to become aware of yourself as a human being, your personhood, that God created you to be a blessing to him and to yourself and to your neighbor. Blessing. That is your personal potential. You must be a blessing to yourself, a blessing to God, and a blessing to your neighbor or community. Becoming a blessing to yourself means that you have to bake your own bread. You have to feed yourself and feed your neighbor and even the needy. And at the end of the day, you support the development of life itself for sustainability of what it is here in existence and how God looks at it here and supports it here, and also get it back to himself. There's a reason to that, the purpose of it. So this gives us the principles to innovate when the thing is not there, to get something to support your going, to support your life, and to support with your survival issues. Government employs you, but you should employ yourself. My approach to this discussion is andragogy. That means that as I am discussing with you this way, this is the approach. You can ask me any question. You can share your ideas with me. You have so much in you that you have not even discovered 1% of it. And if resources like this, okay, are not deployed to support you, to bring out what is in you that God gave you, to build your life with, to support others with, and to make life in general worth living, you may depart this globe with all the potential in you. So with the lenses I have as human development coach or person, see you as a multi-millionaire. So I'm giving you an analogy. The people that I coach, let me use that soft word, are people of various expertise and learning background. Some of them are health directors like you. Some of them are politicians. Others are ministers of the gospel, and the rest of them. I have the opportunity to share with them because of my profession. Because of how I am trained to handle life. Life should not go waste. Some of them are agriculture personnel, and I look at them and some of the technologies we bring across the globe to support with their community development issues. I just pick some of them and try it myself. Test cases. In-depth test cases. If you come to my house, I have grown crops. I have calculated how much I will make from what I've grown. I have about 500 whatever of cabbage in there. If in 3 months' time, it's okay, and I'm selling one for 5 cedis. And probably somebody will say, no, 5 cedis is low, give it 10. Okay, fine. You can be here, you can be my marketing personnel. Because I'm not a very good marketing person. So when we're talking of human development within the framework of social entrepreneurship, I get you to be my collaborator or partner so that you support me with your skill of marketing person. So you get my 5 cedis cabbage, take it out there, maybe you can sell it. Is it 20 cedis or 30? So the rest becomes yours, you see. But you look at it within the spectrum of your profession and you think that, no, I can't do that because I don't have much time. That is where the problem is coming from. Because time is measured to all of us to use for whatever our economic issues or what, we look at that brevity of it or that quiz of its framework to say that, no, I don't have the time to do that. But you have the potential to do that. And you need to do that. So what do? You quickly come to yourself to do something new. The word innovation has come from some root linguistic factors, like what is in you that is new. Novelty. What is in you? Creativity. Create something new. Innovation. It is like information. Information is something out there that when you imbibe it, it forms you to be what you are to be. That's when we're talking of research and stuff. Things that are not there, that are abstract, but when you think through and you want to put it out there, vis-a-vis the material and the needs we have, you see, something, there are outcomes. And the outcome will tell you its use, whether it will be good for now or tomorrow. There is nothing bad on it. But it depends on how we handle it. And the need of it also. Nothing bad. But for want of knowledge, the skill and attitude to approach the use of these potentials that God has given us or has given us, we do things we should not do. And we waste our time, we waste our money, we waste everything. Let me be a preacher a bit here. In Psalm 90 verse 10, we have read, if probably we've not understood it, that is what is there, and that is what it is. We are given 70 years. We call it the traditional years when it comes to my study lines. We are given 70 years to spend here and live. But God informs us that if we have the strength, so as a researcher, I deal with words, etymologies. We research whatever they are so that we give them what they should be to help us make life what it should be. The strength. What is that strength? Strength is the knowledge we need, the understanding we need. If we have the understanding and we live scientifically, so that we don't cook and eat food that is not well cooked. And after probably we've had that running stomach, we rush to you. And with your critical approach to maybe intervening or remedying the situation. You see, with your critical approach, what I would add to it is critical thinking. You have that potential. So you think beyond what you're doing. Sure, but you would need somebody like myself to support you, to encourage you to do that you can. But if you have time constraints and time will not permit you to do what you are doing, connect with somebody who has same or similar approach or abilities so that you can collaborate and share. On earth, we don't live alone. In this world, we need cooperation, collaboration, and the rest of them. So the way I am going about this discussion, it is for ease of it to open up your mind, because you have so much in you, to think of what you can do from here. And if you want to go into business, connect with us. We would help you to become who you want to be. If you want to create cash, connect with us. Because we understand what it is. And you need it. Government cannot do it alone. You need to do it yourself too, but you may not have the time. So in critical times, you need somebody to support you. You don't need to go or dwell on loans and loans and loans. If you do that, you will be spending much of the substance of your time before your time. These 70 traditional years we have and the scientific 80 years we have, we use the scientific 80-year scale to explain the terms of relativity to how you should approach your life. So let me come to the 80 years. The 80 years, we have divided them into 4 catchments. Each of them with some identical key to help you live the way you should live within that space of time. The 80 years divided into 4, we have 20 years apiece. So from year 0 to 20, we're giving it a key. It's I1. I1 means the period of information development. You are scientists, you know it better than I do. Since mom's womb, the formation in that we are delivered, we depend on information. So when we are growing and we keep learning, studying, and building things for ourselves, what goes into us? So in the UK like this, the system has built it so much for everybody that by 18, 19, 20, you should be off your family's house. You should be off your parents and start life by yourself. And government supports you to do that. Then you can go out to work. Your brothers and sisters who are there, you can ask them. You can be in a furnished flat or building to keep up with your life and pay it in 20 years, sometimes 10 years. And the way they will pick it, you will not even feel it. So they support you to leave. That's why probably most of you want to travel abroad. But when you all leave Ghana, you support the life situation here. So this should tell you that God has employed you to support life systems here. So that if what you need for your incentive or motivation is not coming, you should rather use what I am telling you to make the money. Because at the end of the day, when we leave here, God would ask you about how you use your resources to serve. So, from 21, if you're following me, to 40, you have that period for industry, I2. So a quick one, the keys are 4. I1 for information, 20 years, develop it. I2 for industry, 20 years, keep on working. I3, induction. Those who want to have the luxury of life, it is in that bracket, that period. In induction. You are inducted into life to enjoy it. So probably what you have done, if you had the information and the skill and the attitude to do it, you saved. You collaborated with people, you did investment and stuff. It is now by getting to 60 years that you can enjoy your life very well. It is induction into life to enjoy it. And after you have spent your life that way, you see, you'll be closing up. By all means, we'll be saying goodbye to the world because we've done our bit. So you see, everything you'll be slowing down. And you'll be happy even resting. So that all that you have built so far will be given back to your children's children And they will thank you for it. We call it inheritance, or inheritance, if you wish. So it ends up with inheritance. Inheritance from 61 to 80. And you depart with joy. Thanking God for helping you to live your life very well here. Most people live their 70 traditional years without knowing what to do. They only come to depend on nature, not nurturing what has been given to them. So they don't make any productivity there. It's like those who do gathering. If God helps them to wake up, they just look at the atmosphere and what the forest can give them. They go and pick some mangoes and stuff and come and sleep and give birth to more children and create more poverty because they don't have the attitude towards life to make it the way it should be. They don't have the skill to do anything, to make any innovation, creativity. No, so there's no wealth creation activity in here. They don't have the knowledge that, look, we are time bound here. That within the period, God will be calling. Even anything can even take you away. Accident, sickness, whatever. They are part of life. But if you have the knowledge, you repair, you give the approach of reparation to the system so you don't waste your life. That is why you are there. That is why we respect you so much. Yes. And put in your best. Because life is God's own creation. That which is called the breath, which is life. Still doing some preaching on the pulpit, Psalm 36, verse 9. It says, with God is the fountain of life. It's not exhausted of it. And in his light, we see light. Light is enlightenment. The process of education and training, teaching. Do what God wants you to do. So you see the philosophy of breaking the thing and cutting them in pieces because you are adult, you are elite. I don't need the mathematical scaling to do it like, I am just sharing with you. Trying to inspire you to think of something that you need. You may be a very great farmer, but systems brought you to where you are. Accept it and serve. But you also need that farming potential to resource yourself. You may not know. Because when you have gone on retirement, you will still live and eat. You will still need to, provide for your family who will be with you, if it's your children's children. And they are the dependents who are most needed. They need our support. Because by 40 would be, growing with our kids who are coming. 60, they will be almost adults. So they will not need so much from us. Some of them will be working. When I started my work with my professors in the US, they were coming. Those days they were coming. We were traveling. My work is a traveling type of thing. For the Assemblies of God is because I married. And those days when I was in Germany and I decided to marry because the white people were just flashing my faces and I decided to pull off the, so when I did some presentation in Lagos University and some of my mates were Assemblies of God. So they invited me to church and that kind of thing. Their pastor befriended me and it resulted me coming to the Assemblies of God. That's why I'm a preacher there. But I'm a global preacher. I'm a preacher to everybody. So I'm an evangelist, if you wish. So what I do is I rather train ministers to support me. That's what I do. So if you want to be a minister, you can sign up my project. Recently, I had one of my students from the US come for his ordination. We are having a new ministry, and he's in the US. We're trying to raise people who pray. We're trying to do new things. We're trying to let people understand that, look, we're not angels in human bodies. We are God's own people. people. He created us to be like he is, in his image and likeness. Okay? So whilst we are here, we are to work and take good care of ourselves and our lives. So we should not say that we are full-time ministers. You are full-time, who is half-time? Ministry is connoted in its definition of faith, to serve God. Just that, faith. That's ministry. Ministry is service, you know it. Ministry. What do you use your hands to do? With the Latin manus, hands, to do, serve, service. Just as you do in critical health, critical careness. So you're doing caregiving. In the UK, we call it caregiving, care provision, care delivery. So it's ministry. Okay, so once we don't understand the systems very well, we create our own things that are confusing. And we want to cover it or hide it for something's sake. So you say full-time minister. Full-time minister. So who is half-time or who is short-time? All of us, everybody who has faith in Jesus is a minister. Serving Christ in their own capacities and abilities. So all of us are full-time. And Jesus said, be in this faith service till I come. That is the understanding of ministry. So don't think that ministry is, being behind a pulpit or whatever. And then we distort the information. And when they are not working and are becoming poor, and they are very ashamed of those things, they will create things for you. You see, they will dream. They will dream for you. Don't allow anybody to dream for you, because you carry your own life. And Jesus, the Creator, takes care of you because you have his breath in you.
The question is this. There are certain limitations. For example, in the workplace, you have, if they see you to be too business idealistic, maybe you are a target. And then these days, because of the attrition of nurses, getting a loan is difficult because they think you run away from it with it. So with all these challenges, and sometimes the employer will even tell you, if you are doing something, you should have to bring permission. If you are doing something outside the hospital, you have to obtain permission from the employer before you can do what you want to do. Do you have, so how do you surmount or go about this kind of hurdles? There are a lot of challenges.
Okay, with somebody is there to help.
Okay, so with the ones with the institutions that you have to go for approvals, sometimes you might think that it's difficult. Let's say there is an institution that you want to do an internally generated fund, as in you want to sell something. You have to contribute to the hospital. So there is a due or a particular amount of money that you have to pay. So if every month you have to pay 200 Ghana, and you think that working there or maybe doing the business over there, you are getting more money, then write the letter to the institution, pay that monthly 200 Ghana cedis that you have to contribute, and you still make your profit.
That's fine. Okay.
Very much for the presentation. Okay, so my question is, in dealing with farming, assuming you are living in a rented apartment, how can you start farming in someone's house? So if you have any idea, please kindly share. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. And I wanted to speak on what my brother was saying.
Go ahead.
I'm using my facility as an example.
Okay.
In my facility, there was this selling of items going on in the facility by individuals.
Yeah.
Management decided that anyone who sells anything over there will be punished. Now, we sat down and realized that, no, this is something that will benefit us, the nurses. So we decided to come up and write a letter to management that the nurses group over here, we are taking over the sales of items. We are not going to allow any individual to sell. Then management approved of it. Now we started this small. We were just selling, we go and buy the items, bring it to the ward, we are selling it there. As I'm talking to you right now, we have, let me say, a mini mall that we have established at the hospital. Even if I'm not there today, any nurse that will come and benefit from it. And through that, we have been able to build a safe house apartment that we are renting it to other people over there. So it's when you come together, our management fear the nursing field, the nursing fraternity. So when you come together as one to fight for what you want, you get it. But that is what is killing us. And since we decided to work together as one, it has helped all the nurses in the fraternity. So they can start it from there and it will grow up. Thank you.
Okay. Things that we sometimes overlook when it comes to productivity. You want to be productive. That is why you would wanted to do those things within the facility. But know that the facility belongs to somebody. What belongs to somebody, okay, has all the other entailments to it. As the person's, we have been using certain words like bona fide. The word is bona fide. It still uses that sense. Bona fide, like bona fide, property. Bona fide property or property bona fide. It's not yours. They employed you to come and work. You have a limitation. But you see opportunity there. You see entrepreneurship opportunity. You see, when you enter a place, that's why the word says that entrepreneurship. Entrepreneur. You entered there, you saw the opportunity, you picked it up. But hey, it's not yours. So you have to sign up the protocols. Regard the ethics that operates there. Somebody said, go to the facilitators, those who have the property, discuss the opportunity. Maybe they have not seen the opportunity, but you have seen it. So if you have the permission, you can deal with it, with them, and then give them something. Everybody needs profit. Everybody must be productive. That is the sense we have with God. That is one. And when they have that opportunity, you see the growing. They can grow and grow. Even right from there, you can extend it to Tamale, you can extend it to here. That is how we should resource ourselves and living. You can even employ people whilst you are in employment there. You have the opportunities there to do this thing, but you may not have the understanding. That is why you need certain competencies to do certain things to prosper. The competency of attitude, the competency of skill, the competency of knowledge. In our Scottish vocational degree traditions, we accredit these competencies: attitude, skill, and knowledge. So when we employ you and your attitude doesn't reflect what we're expecting, we will not say you are fired. We will say go back to school and keep developing. Keep to continuing professional development until you get the attitude. In the house, the garden, it's also in our DNAs. Whether you like it or not, you are a farmer. Because you feed, everyone feeds. The president feeds. Even when angels come here, they will feed. That is it. We are material. God doesn't place so much spiritual demand on us. We don't know. You make these charlatans deceive you with their own dreams and make money out of you. God doesn't place so much spiritual demand on us. He knows we are earthly. Don't you know? That's why you have to feed. You have to do this, clothe yourself. Otherwise, you don't be going naked. No, we will not need to depend on the exertions of the earth, the environment. I don't want to extend what I've done, but I'm just adding to conclude. So talk to your, landlord? Probably in your house, you may not have that bare soil. It could be like this. This house, this room, I see the potential of fish farming in this room. I see the potential of mushroom. Yes, you can do it. That is if you have the information. You see, so you place things that can, contain their growing, whatever it's vegetative stuff, and you also keep to water. You can make it. If not for scalable commercial something, it will be for your domestic, so that you don't go to market and buy it. And whatever we help you to do, we approach it with scientific measures, mathematics, okay, physical science, so that if 2 months you'll be buying tomato worth 200 cedis, you save that money because you have grown it here, so you no go to market to buy. Whatever you have grown to use, it's money that traditionally would have used. Keep it, save it. That's what I'm saying. If you need money, I don't make it. I don't crash it, but I show you how. And I do collaboration. So my money is not in one person here. I have some here, I have some in America, I have some in the US. So I will not be exhausted when it comes to cash. And I'm not boasting that I have money. These white people, that's what they do. Bill Gates is coming to Africa to make money. Why wouldn't I also go to America to make money? If I can't have the capacities he has, I will do mine at my level. Yes. That is it. Everybody can make it, can make life. Everybody has the potential. Once you have life, you must live. And once you are living, you must enjoy or access the quality of life. Google what the quality of life is, and you understand it. And if you need any collaborative support or assistance, come see us. You understand? Thank you. I think I've answered it. Thank you. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you very much.
An MRI, we'll just send the patient quickly to the MRI and then do these investigations so that we can have a very good report for you. So there are some contraindications you have to know to MRI. You know, the MRI, it's a very huge magnet. Okay, so the patient goes into a magnet, and the magnet does some magic in the body. The body is made up of so many small magnets, and those magnets are from hydrogen protons in the body. You know that the body, about 70% of the body is water. Water is H2O, so it means that all of us have a lot of hydrogen in our system. So what this magnet does is that it's bigger, it has a bigger magnetic strength than all the hydrogens in the body. So when the patient lies in there, it tries to command them as to what to do. Maybe let me use it in simple terms. And then as it does that, it's able to generate images. Because there's hydrogen, there's water everywhere, even in the bone, there's some amount of water. So the water in there can create a signal for us to know what is going on. And then somebody will ask that, if you have a small CT scan, why do you even need an MRI? I mean, why would you waste time for that? So in hyperacute strokes, so hyperacute strokes are basically like strokes that are less than 1 day. So they occurred in less than 1 day. So the first 6 hours is an early hyperacute. 6 to 24 hours is late hyperacute. Less than 1 day, if you have a stroke right now, and within a day, you get to the hospital, it's no more than a day before you get to the hospital. If we do a CT scan, we might not find anything. But MRI, if you have a stroke this minute, and we do an MRI, we will see exactly where the stroke is.
we use a system we call the diffusion-weighted imaging. So there's something we can do to the images that we can find exactly where. But in CT scan, you need to come to the hospital, I think about sometimes even 2 days after the stroke has happened before you find exactly where the stroke is. So sometimes if you see the report, they will tell you that the image is normal, but a hyperacute stroke cannot be ruled out. So if there's still clinical concern, repeat the CT scan in 48 hours. So that is what we mean, because CT scan has limitations concerning managing it. So that is why you would need the MRI to help you. So I've spoken about this already. Like there's a very similar image transfer system and a real-time collaborative system. So there are now systems, even in Ghana here, that if you have maybe, you did an imaging and then a radiologist gave you a report, but you have some doubt about that report. There are systems in Ghana that you can upload the images onto that system. Another radiologist will give you a second opinion. So, yeah, so there are a lot of things going on. I mean, with this advent of medical negligence and suits and all that, our patients are also getting smarter, and some of the businessmen who are venturing into health. I mean, there's a lawyer that we had, will just be sitting at the, Kolebu, just at the entrance. When you pass, you're like, okay, were you treated the way you didn't like? I can help you. I will not take any money from you. When you win your case, you give me 20%. And now that is what is happening now. There are a lot of lawyers now in the system, and so people will find ways and means to also make money. So it means that as a healthcare practitioners, we should also be very careful as to how we should make sure that we are giving out our best. There are some loopholes. I know. I've been in the system before. I know that sometimes there are difficulties that you might not be able to deal with. I mean, so some of the issues with adopting these portable imaging modalities, that it's sometimes costly, and then it's also the machine knows that matter. If it doesn't know the chain you are wearing, to pull it away. So that's it. Okay.
Sorry, I'm drawing you back to the previous presentation about the either it's competency or technical issue. This patient had retained gauze for about a year. Ultrasound could not pick it. And later it was X-ray that picked it. Why?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, so sound, ultrasound uses sound, okay. So sound will pass through the body tissue, and then depending on the kind of resistance it gets, then an image will be created. Okay, so bone is a very dense structure in the body. So most of the sound waves that will pass through it will be reflected back. So bone will appear white. So if you reflect the thing back, you appear white. If you allow all the sound waves to pass through you, you appear dark. So that is the technology. It's a very simple technology. So depending on the state of the gauze at that point, it might just look like one of the bowel loops moving in there. That's what I'm saying. That's why sometimes people say that, well, you did ultrasound, how come we were not able to pick this thing? But they are just colors, like dark, gray, bright. And when the contrast between those two structures are very similar, it's sometimes very difficult to put them apart. There was a case like that in Takoradi for ultrasound. And I think that the scale of the sonographer is also very important. So the person didn't really see the gauze, but I saw that there was something wrong with the bowel loop. They had done some intestinal surgery and then they left the gauze in there. That this bowel loop, it looks funny. The wall looks too thickened and everything looks bizarre there. Let me just do an x-ray and see what's going on. And then the x-ray picks it up. Because by that time, the x-rays also work the same way. If it passes through you and it sees that you are too dense, it will make you bright. If it passes through you and you allow it to go through a bit easily, it will make you dark. So that is the technology. So the gauze has become very hard in there. And so when you did the x-ray, it appeared bright and we were able to pick it up. But if they had done the x-ray immediately after the surgery, we wouldn't have picked it up. So yes, it's the competence, the skill of the sonographer too. And then there should be like a heightened sense of curiosity. Sometimes somebody should think bad. In the family of 10 people, one person should always think negative small so that we can pick out some of this. Like everybody is saying that, okay, this doctor who did it, he's a very experienced doctor. So that's for this diagnosis of retained foreign body there is not possible. But one person should think like that so that once we roll it out, then we can, yeah. So I think that ultrasound can pick it up. And a lot of people will be able to pick it on ultrasound when it's much worse, like it becomes complicated. But in a skilled hand, at a very early stage, it can be picked it up. And that's why we do both ultrasound and X-ray. Once one doesn't pick it well, the other one will be able to effectively pick it.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. This thing that we are talking about is very serious. I work at a place that usually you have, the maternity ICU. You have mothers coming in with maybe post-delivery eclampsia. They fitted, they are in a bad state. We have to intubate and ventilate. Sometimes the doctor will come and request for head CT. And in their state, moving them, it's a problem. So we always have fights because of this. When we go back, we are going to make recommendation. I want to know, where can we get this thing to buy? But I'll go to the director myself because we need it. If bringing it to the patient side, you just do the scanner, you can diagnose and everybody is fine. Sometimes you have to back the patient all the way from the ICU to wherever because you don't have a mobile vent. So I want to know where we will get this thing. Because I want to go and fight for one. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, yes, I don't want to do an advert for anybody here, but there are companies like Philips, for instance. Philips is one of the, how do you reach them? I'll see if I can get some of their contacts for you. Okay. So,
you get the contact later.
I'll get the contacts later.
Yes, so that's why we are here. There are some of the contacts, some of the networking that we really need. We need them. So if we can get yours, I'm sure I'll be referring a lot of X-rays and then be asking for, because there are some that they do the X-ray, you see, I don't know the technical words, but there are some that the place looks very white, you can see. But we do a chest X-ray, you don't find anything. You do a pleural tap, there is fluid coming out from that place. And sometimes we end up wasting the money. These patients are needy patients that we are using money, we are contributing to do. And then this person can go and do this, we come in. Well, we are going, we even know this one, it will come out normal, abnormal, no something. Those is like a complete thing that we always know we'll be expecting. So when we get the network, there are people we need to talk to, ask for another advice, whether we can still go for it, to save some of the money for other things.
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
I think that's what I've been saying. That collaboration is very necessary, and it's all for the patient's good. As you said, there are some cases. So you gave me a young girl, a 17-year-old student, complains that he has pain in the leg, very mobile. Then the doctor writes, do Doppler, venous Doppler of both legs. I'll start typing a normal report before I even start the scan. Because see, there are certain risk factors and other things that you would expect to see before. That's what I said. So that's for that person, for instance, if it's a soft tissue problem or even a bone problem, the person might benefit even from an X-ray than a Doppler scan that they will have to pay almost 700 or 500 cedis. So it's helpful that we collaborate with each other. And
thank you very much. This is not a question, it's just a contribution. Concerning where patients go in for scan and nothing is seen, you do another diagnostic and you see something.
Yeah.
I've ever had an experience back in the days. I went to the radiology, spoke with the sonographer, and then find out why that was so. And then initially, I thought what he was saying didn't make sense to me, or I wasn't buying his idea. Like, you just wrote the request, abdominal X-ray scan, abdominal pelvic scan. You didn't attach any history to it. So if I didn't pick anything, why would you come back and say that I'm not a good sonographer? And I was like, whether a history was attached to it or not, yours is to scan the abdomen and the pelvis. How come you couldn't see it? And then you go and then do X-ray and then you see the thing there. Then it's like, everything you talk about it. If they had attached a history to it, a brief history, this patient went to do this, that, or we did this for the patient, and this is what we are suspecting or that. It makes it easier, because even when I'm scanning and I'm even tired, because I saw in the history that this patient bled a lot during surgery. I know that there are possibilities that can happen. This, that. So even when I'm not seeing, I'll even scan further and then see what is there. So history is very important. In as much as we want to put up our concerns, we should also tell our people that we should attach history when we request for most of these diagnostics. Sometimes when you attach the history, they even make the recommendation, let's not do this, let's do that for the patient. And that way we save a lot of go and do our
team when they are requesting, so that we don't waste patients' time and money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's a very good question. As the conditions, they are plenty, so maybe let me just mention a few. So congestive cardiac failure, for instance, checks X-ray, it's your first modality of choice. Checks X-ray will be able to pick it up very easily. So what we'll find is that the heart will be enlarged, and then we'll see that, in the apical regions of the lungs, the vessels will be looking too prominent. Usually when you stand, because of gravity, the vessels that are below should be prominent. But in congestive cardiac failure, because there's a lot of congestion, we'll see vessels in even the lung apexes. So it's very easy diagnosis to pick on checks X-ray, rather than go and do a maybe CT or even echocardiogram, which might waste. And of course, if you have a woman that you have a breast lesion and you are suspecting malignancy, and the person is more than 40 years, you do mammogram first, not ultrasound. Ultrasound usually is less than 40 or even less than 35. That's what we do. If you do ultrasound, if the lesion is not big enough, you might miss it. You think that there's nothing there. And then if you are thinking of a perforation, a hollow viscous perforation, chest X-ray, not abdomen. Chest X-ray, because he said hollow viscous, maybe perforation of the intestine, you do a chest X-ray. And the chest, not abdomen, chest X-ray, the reason why you're doing chest X-ray is that you want to see air under the right hemidiaphragm. Okay, so the right hemidiaphragm, just below it, you are not supposed to see air there. The only air you're supposed to see on the chest X-ray is the gastric bubble, which is on the left. So on the right side, just below the right lung, you are not supposed to see any air. If you see air there, it means that a hollow viscous is perforated. See that the gallbladder, the urinary bladder, anything that's hollow, or or the intestine. The reason why I'm saying chest X-ray, no abdomen, is that if you request for abdomen, they will cut that part off. They will just give you an abdomen. You will not be seeing just below the lung. So once you request for chest, they will capture some of the abdomen for you, and then you will see, you will look for where. And of course, if you are looking for intestinal obstruction, plain erect and supine X-rays of the abdomen, the first modality of choice, not ultrasound. Not ultrasound. Ultrasound, it can be a complementary study, but plain abdominal X-ray, when the patient is erect and when the patient is lying down, will pick up almost all intestinal obstructions. It will not be able to tell you what is causing the intestinal obstruction, right? To tell you that there's an intestinal obstruction. Then you can do other higher imaging modalities to find out the cause of the intestinal obstruction. Of course, if you are thinking of stroke and the patient has come in, says that it started 2 days ago, you don't waste your money on MRI, which is almost 2,500, 3,000. You can do a CT scan, 400, 350 CDs will pick up the same diagnosis. Unless, as I said, it is very early. And then we want to intervene, meaning there are some procedures that radiologists can do to reverse a stroke. But we have to pick the stroke within 6 hours of onset. If we can get the patient into the hospital and to the table within 6 hours from the onset, we'll reverse all the neurological deficits. After 6 hours, it's between you and God, and that. So that is why that one, an MRI will be helpful. Once we're able to do the MRI, you know exactly where the infarct is. Then we can go in and remove the clot, and the patient is fine. But after 6 hours, after more than 1 day, that part of the brain that is affected starts dying off. And we know that brain, it doesn't really have any regenerative ability, like the liver that can just grow to fill any space. The brain doesn't have. So once that part is gone, it is gone. Maybe the other conditions are not coming to mind. But as I said, once you have any clinical scenario like that, you can always discuss it with someone that this patient doesn't have a lot of money. They have 700 Ghana cedis left. These are the conditions. Which imaging modality will help us pick this diagnosis so that we can be free, and then we can always have a discussion. Thank you very much for your audience.
Thank you so much.
And then affirm so that they can get someone to sue, right? So that is what is happening. So I think when I was at Kolebu, they are trying to come into Ghana currently. They only want to start with the breast, for instance. So they came to the radiology department. They want all our database on all the breast scans that we have breast mammograms that we have done, and then what we found in each case. So basically, I'm going to teach the AI that if you see this, it is this. If you see this, it is this. Basically, it's what you put into the thing that you get. So if the AI has seen only 5 mammograms in that's the whole life of the AI, it's seen only 5. And then you are going to rely on this AI, you are in trouble. So they need to feed it with so many data as much as possible to be able to train it really well. But it's in the future, but I don't think we've gotten there yet. So for now, do with us until this things come. And as I explained, there's telemedicine. Now there's teleradiology. As I told you about, there are websites that you can even post your images. If you don't even want a Ghanaian radiologist, you want someone in UK, you can just report your cases for you. But of course, it will come at a cost. The Hyperfine, this image you see here is an MRI. It's in Korle Bu currently. Yes. So, but unfortunately, they are using it for a research on children with cerebral palsy. So what it does is that it can only do MRI of the brain. That's why it's small like that. I can do an MRI of the brain. So we are trying to find out, I mean, children with cerebral palsy, as they age, want to look at if there are structural problems with their brain parenchyma. So that's what is in the radiology unit currently. And this is an ultrasound machine. All you need is that small thing there and your phone. It has a wireless system, you put it on, you connect it to your phone. All that you are scanning, you just look at your phone, scan, you see everything clearly. This one, a lot of people even have it around, and it's very easy to buy. You can go to AliExpress, you can even order one for yourself. But you see that some of these things, what we are actually, sacrificing sometimes will be the quality, the image quality. So these, as we encourage the use of this, what we are trying to say is it's like a first aid, something that can help you quickly get your patient out of danger. And then once your patient is very stable now, then we can do a more thorough follow up on these patients. So these are very wonderful things that I think there was an image. Sorry. So you see the last image there. So that's a patient comfortably relaxing in the sofa in the home. And then that is a CT scanner behind her. Yeah, so you just carry it along. You're in your house, you are feeling lazy, you don't feel like coming to the hospital to do a CT scan. So we just carry it along. And then we look for a switch, plug it, you put your head in, you get our image, we put it back in the car, and we go home. That is where medicine is getting to now. And sometimes some of our patients, they watch too many movies like this and they come and worry us. But they don't know that it takes 50 years for technology to move down. Maybe my research is wrong, but it looks like around 50 years or so, or maybe less. So if they come and worry us, we will have to explain to them that we don't even have the basics that they need. So thank you very much. And if there are any questions or contributions.
I think we can do more. Thank you very much. This is a very precise and concise presentation for afternoon session. Anyway, we'll accept 3 to 5 questions maximum. I'll not start with Madam President. I'll start.
Oh, thank you, Julius. Hey, Julius, you've been biased. Okay, please, I have a question.
Okay.
When you talked about quality assurance in radiology,
In the ICU space, I don't know how we can ensure QA. I'm asking this question because there was an incident in a facility, I don't want to mention the name. They transplanted a new kidney. And we needed to be sure that the transplanted kidney was well perfused. So we had to call, they had to call some radiologists to come. So two, unfortunately, inexperienced radiologists came and told the team that the transplanted kidneys, I think after some, it was, I think 6 hours down the line, was not well perfused. So they had to go in again. Only for an experienced professor come in and say that no, the kidneys are being well perfused. So if you are in such a situation, you are a nurse, or you're a critical care nurse, and you don't have this competency or this knowledge, how do you challenge it in terms of QA? Because there are a lot of negligence in that space because some of us do not really have that knowledge. So as a critical care nurse, how do you ensure QA when it comes to imaging? That is number one. Number two, when it comes to the modalities, I also have a problem, especially with neurosurgeons. Why am I asking this? Sometimes the patient will come, go and do X-ray, they'll go and do. Go and do CT scan, they'll go and do. Then you go and do an MRI. One patient. So they come and it's like, they will now unleash their frustration on you, the CCN. So you knew that the X-ray will not be beneficial. You knew that the CT scan will not be beneficial. However, you are going to intervene based on the MRI. So why didn't you go straight to do the MRI? But you started with the X-ray, the CT, and the MRI. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's a very loaded question. So for the first question, I don't know what facility you are referring to, but if it is a facility I'm also thinking of, then it wasn't the first two people who came were not radiologists; they were residents who were training to be radiologists. So usually, when there are issues like this, you send your boys to go and say what is going on. So I sometimes believe that if some of the findings that the first team comes up with, it's questionable or it's something that you really need, you should always do a second opinion. I always believe in second opinions, and it should not create a problem at all. It's a system that we all believe that one person doesn't have all the knowledge. Even a professor can look at the case and then miss it. And So if you go to the radiology unit, for instance, you will see a professor who call a resident or somebody is training that Charlie Besha case way why. Like what I'm seeing, is it real or is it just my eyes? So I think that there's always a teamwork effect, and you can always go higher the scale if you have issues with some of the, especially reports that would need an intervention that you will want to be extra sure of it before you get into that system. And in terms of the request forms, so there's a gap in our system as health workers. Okay, we do not collaborate effectively. You would see people even trying to enter into somebody's space to try, all because of money. So somebody, it's not your field, but there's money there, so let me learn it more and then make some money. So actually, with a request form, before you write a request form, it is important to even discuss it with a radiologist that these are the symptoms my patient has. What imaging modality do you think will be most appropriate to help this patient? We do not get that kind of referral. Sometimes when the referrals come to the unit, we review them, okay? But then you cannot review all the request forms, because there are a lot of them that we actually reject. We write politely at the back, "Dear colleague, this particular imaging modality may not help your patient. We would rather recommend you do A, B, C." And sometimes you, of course, as you know, with human beings, you get a negative feedback from your colleague. So I think that's what usually happens. It's like, oh, everybody thinks that CT first. If CT doesn't pick, then go to MRI. It doesn't work like that. It's not like you do X-ray, X-ray doesn't pick it, ultrasound doesn't pick it, CT. No, they are not arranged. There are certain things that ultrasound can pick better than CT scan and even MRI. There was a patient, I remember we did a CT scan for. They were suspecting that probably the patient has a liver cancer. Nobody did ultrasound. They went straight to CT scan. We did a CT scan, and we know that in liver cancers, when you give the patient, so usually what happens is that we'll give the patient contrast, okay, before we take the images. And these cancer cells are supposed to pick the contrast so that they appear brighter for us to see where they are all hiding. And they need to be taken at a particular time. So if the radiographer, the one who takes the images, doesn't take the images at that particular time and delays a little bit, that you will lose that brightness. So you look at the image and it's like, this liver is fine. Why are they suspecting? So that same patient, we just drag the patient. Oh yeah, let's go to the ultrasound room. We put the probe there. These are all like plenty lesions in the liver. Plenty. It's so difficult to even miss them. Meanwhile, they were not appearing really well on the CT scan. So it's important to interact with people. What do you think will be the best imaging modality so that we don't waste our patients' money? So a lot of them, ICU, by the time they are leaving ICU, they can even build another house from that money they are paying. And sometimes it's because we do not go straight to the point. There are certain diagnoses that if you want, you don't even waste time with CT scan, go straight to MRI. But we'll do a CT plus contrast, then you go do an MRI, which is not. So I think that's the problem that we are facing. We do not get a lot of these requests. I don't know why some people think that maybe if I have consult another doctor to tell me which imaging modality, but that doctor, that is the person's field. And the person knows what will help the patient. So I think that is the answer to your question. Okay.
Teamwork and collaboration.
Thank you very much. And that was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
So my question is more to, let's say, the nurse in the ICU. So one radiology told me that with the current advancement of most of the imaging modalities that are in now, they are, let me say, should I say, less harmful. Although they are harmful, but they are less harmful than the previous, let me say, machines that were there. So I want to ask that, assuming we are in an ICU of this place, let's say the patient is at where the balloons are, and maybe there is time for exposure, so nurses should walk out, or the health team should walk out. Sometimes they will say that just walk just a little far, everybody should not go out and close the ICU doors. For maybe the X-ray machines that are mobile. I want to ask, personally, I would like to walk out, but he is saying that just give us a little distance, but he will go and hide behind a pillar. So what is the appreciable distance? And the mobile devices that have come now, is it true that they don't emit the rays too far to that level? And I want you to clarify on that for us.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think your issue is that you don't believe what they are telling you to do. So that's so yes, so it's true. And that's why I said that what we've compromised on is the image quality. And for us to achieve that compromise, we have to reduce all of these things. So the image that will come out might not be as clear as if you had gone to the unit itself. It's because we've reduced the energy of that X-rays that are coming out. So majority of the X-rays that are coming are going to the patient. What we are worried about, and we are telling you that don't stay around, are the scattered ones. Okay, so the X-rays are going through the patient onto the image receptor, but a few will be scattered. And we know that they'll just be scattered around it. The one who went to hide behind the pillar is because it's very close to the main ones. But once you are a little far off, you will not get these radiations. It's difficult to believe it, but I'm telling you the truth. So there's a lot of physics. I mean, it is physics to explain all of this. So before you know that once the X-rays are produced, by the time they move from here to where the light is, their energy, the strength is gone down, drastically gone down. So, and if you are scared of X-rays, you know that the UV light is also a form of radiation. So it is not that strange. Even mammogram, the ones we use for the breast and all that, the X-rays have been reduced to like the barest minimum. So if you look at those centers that they do, the one doing it might just even hide behind a glass screen that contains lead to try and get rid of the scattered ones. So it's true. I mean, just keep an appreciable distance and you are safe. But of course, if you have trust issues today, you go outside. So, but it's true that we've reduced, and ultrasound doesn't have any problems with, ultrasound doesn't use radiations. CT scans and X-rays use, plain radiographs use X-rays. MRI uses magnets. So you make sure that you don't enter that room with any metallic stuff. Otherwise, you and the metal will be dragged to the machine. That is all. So we have our own wheelchairs we used in there. The metals that are used to make those wheelchairs are MR compatible. I mean, when it comes to nurses as well. So you are like a nurse's nurse. Just like, yes, just like the radiologist is a doctor's doctor. Because sometimes you make a diagnosis as maybe a physician, you are not too sure. And you want to prescribe medications that might not help the person, but you can rely on some of these imaging modalities to help you make a correct diagnosis. So we'll start with ultrasound. Ultrasound, we know about POCUS, which is point of care ultrasonography. So now there are various very portable ultrasound machines. I'll show you some examples that the patient is involved in a road traffic accident. And you can just, once you admit the patient to the ICU, and this one, you don't even need a radiologist. Sometimes some of these things are part of the training. So I would say that if maybe it's not part of it, it should be made part. So they are trained to actually scan the abdomen, and all you are looking for is there blood in the peritoneal cavity? You want to make sure that there's hemoperitoneum or not. You might not be able to finally tell where the blood is coming from. That is somebody's job. But once you can identify that this patient is bleeding into the peritoneal cavity, you can raise an alarm that means that this patient is likely to go into shock very soon if the source of the bleeding is not identified, and then stop. And these are very simple investigations you can do. You don't need to transport a patient all the way to the radiology department just because of this. Within seconds, there are areas of the abdomen that you can look at if you want to see if there's fluid collection. There are dependent regions in the abdomen. So for instance, in the Morrison's pouch, the space between the liver and then the right kidney, you have around the spleen, perisplenic region, you have the right and left paracolic gutters, you have the pelvis. So you put the probe at any of these 5 places, and you are looking for fluid collections. And fluid collections, whether it's blood or even normal fluid like ascites, will appear very dark on ultrasound. So appear very, very black. And we give a term anechoic. So once you start seeing any of those things in the abdominal cavity, in a patient that has just been involved in a road traffic accident, who has guarding of the abdomen and all that, you don't need somebody else to tell you that this fluid you are seeing is likely hemorrhage. So these are things that you can do. And so it's a non-invasive procedure, gives you real-time visualization of what is happening in the anatomy. You can examine the patient now. In 15 minutes, you can examine again and see if there's increase in the fluid, intraperitoneal fluid. And we can apply it in various ways. Those same probes can even have a look at the heart and look at what is going on. You can look at the lungs. You can do actually ultrasound of the chest to look at for pleural effusion. Ultrasound can also be able to estimate how much fluid it's in there. Ultrasound, before you start seeing pleural effusion on X-rays, ultrasound would have picked it way longer. Even as small as 25 mils of fluid in the pleural space can be picked up on ultrasound. But you do an X-ray and you might not see anything. It might look normal. So you can also do your abdomen to look at bowel obstructions. You would see dilated loops of bowel. And we know that you can use ultrasound to also guide you into placing a central line as well. And then a fluoroscopy machine combined together. So in medical imaging, usually, sometimes it might be very difficult to use one imaging modality to pick up a diagnosis. So there's something we call complementary investigation. So for instance, maybe you come to Korle Bu, you do a CT scan, and then what we are seeing, we are not too sure what is going on. We'll go ahead and then do an MRI for free for that patient, because that was not what the patient came in.
For making time to enlighten us on such a wonderful topic. I think the popular request is for you to leave your contacts. Anyway. So we'll move to our next presentation, and possibly the final presentation for the day, yes. Okay. This to be presented by one of us, a principal nursing officer in charge of female medical ward at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. She is currently doing her MSc nursing with a BSc nursing critical care at the School of Critical Care Nursing School, Korle Bu. She is none other than Madame Clara Osei Poku, who is going to take us through nursing process.
Hello.
Almost entering, so please, let's sit down, let's interact, let's engage, socialize.
Plan, implement, and evaluate. These are the key points that we use in our nursing care plan for a patient entrusted to our care. Good afternoon, I'm Clara Osei-Poku, PNO in charge of the female medical ward at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. I am presenting on the clinical utilization of the nursing care plan in improving patient outcome and its associated factors. And it's a survey that was done in the female medical ward, seeing how the care plan is not really utilized on the ward. And then we are on the LIMS now, and there's an interface on it. When you open, you don't see any documentation. So we decided to do a small survey on the ward to know how best we can also help in managing our patients well. Go through these outlines. Our overview, the objectives of the study, the significance of the study, the survey design, data collection and analysis, results, discussions, limitations of the study, the case study, recommendation, conclusion, and our references. So, nursing care plan are fundamentals. And they are tools we normally use as registered nurses in delivering patient-centered care. This plan outlines objectives, intervention, and expected outcome, providing a structured framework for assessing, diagnosing, planning, implementing, and an evaluation of care. Despite all this importance, the utilization of nursing care plan by registered nurses in the clinical practice varies significantly due to the fact that due to factors like education, experience, organizational culture, resource available, that is the resource availability in the health facility. So the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital is also is crucial. Talking about the nursing care plan, the role of healthcare delivery, making it essential to understanding the utilization of the nursing care plan by registered nurses to optimize patient care outcomes, enhancing the nursing practice, and promote quality healthcare delivery. Our objectives was to assess the utilization of care plan and identify factors influencing adoption, implementation, and adherence. With the significance of the study, we base it on the organizational insight, that is identifying the organization factors that impact on the utilization of the care, the professional development, forming training programs and professional development for the nurses, and also enhancing nursing competency, that is improving nursing practice and health delivery at the hospital. So our design was a quantitative approach, and it was a direct questioning without any questionnaire. And then we had only 5 participants, 4 females, and then 1 male from the ward, that is female medical. Our data collection was open-ended, and response were noted. And then the analysis was thematic analysis, identified patterns and theme related to non-utilization of the care plan. So with the results, we had team 1, that is nursing care plan not planned by nurses. So the issue was nurses provided care based on perceived patient needs without formal care plan. And their reasons was due to time constraints and then the high patient-nurse ratio. So we realized that it's in this one, nurses, some of them, they come and they actually don't have any plan for the patient care. We report on duty. You are supposed to ideally assess patients, have patient complain, make a diagnosis of it, have a plan, you implement, and then you evaluate the patient's care, at least. But this one, they have come to work and they are on duty. So a patient who is bedridden is supposed to have a plan of turning frequently. But then this patient will be attended to only when, let's say, the patient soiled him or herself, and then we'll have to change. Then you go and change patients, make patient comfortable, and the person will be there. So there's no actual plan that, oh, I have assessed the patient, this is the patient problem, so let me go systematically and then provide care. So that's about that one. Then the second theme was alternatives to nursing care plans. The sub one was care was based on nursing routines, routine activities done on the ward. So we have 6 a.m. vital signs, 10 a.m. vital signs, 2 p.m. vital signs. If patient is on sliding scale, maybe it is 4 hourly. So for every 4 hours, you go and check the patient. And then you wait for the other hour to come. 2 p.m. there's medication. Sometimes patient's medication prescribed and it is 8 hourly. So you calculate 8 from 6, you come to 12 or 2, then 6 p.m. you go to another 12. So based on that routine, the nurse take care of the patient, and that's it. It doesn't really have any plan to assess patient, give a diagnosis, and all that. And then the other one was based on doctors' orders. So when patient comes, doctors come on rounds, they move from bed to bed, give various orders for the nurses to do, new prescription of medication, taking samples to the lab, sending patient to X-ray. So based on the doctor's requests or instructions, the nurse follows. So meanwhile, like I said earlier, the nurses, we are supposed, based on our training, we are supposed to go through assessment, diagnosing, planning, implementing, and then evaluating our care. But this time, nurses are reluctant. We are always waiting for instructions to be able to take care of our patient, and that is unprofessional. Things have to improve. So with our discussion, we realized that there was a gap in nursing practice. Nurses found focuses on medical care aspects, lacking the holistic approach to the patient's care. So instead of we using our knowledge, per our training, per our skills that we have to nurse the patient, we always wait for us to be instructed, wait for us to be tell what to do to the patient. And then based on the comparisons with other studies, Labech et al., they also suggested that nursing process model is underutilized globally. When you go through various literatures that other people has done on nursing care plan, you realize that we are underutilizing it. We have put in our own portion down and focusing on other things. Based on what we did, we realized that we have some limitation, absence of formal questionnaire, limited responses standardization, and subjective nature of open-ended questions. Response may be influenced by the person's personal experiences. So these are some of the few things we realized, because the sample size was few, and then there were no formed questionnaire that we use with the study. So we have a case study, a case that we want to link it up with what we did. So the nurse assesses the client who was in a motor vehicle accident. The client reports pain levels of 9/10 in their right shoulder. Through an X-ray, the client is determined to have a dislocated shoulder, and the nurse diagnosis of acute pain is applied. The nurse begins planning treatment and goes to reduce pain and instill comfort. The nurse administers pain medication as ordered and supports the right arm with pillows. The nurse evaluates the effectiveness of intervention by asking the client to rate their pain, and on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is no pain. Depending on the outcome, the nurse may determine that the intervention was successful or required revision. The case study supports the results of the nursing care plan survey by showing how nursing care plan may be used to effectively manage acute pain. The methodical approach stressed on the survey is related in the nurse strategy of measuring pain threshold, giving an IV medication, and assessing the results. The survey indicates that the efficient use of nurse care plan is essential for enhancing patient outcomes, since it offers a precise framework for identifying and meeting patients' needs. In the case study, the nursing care plan action caused the patient's pain to significantly decrease from 9/10 to 3/10 in less than a day. And this result confirms the survey claim that well-implemented nurse care plan results confirm the survey's claim that well-implemented nurse care plan improves patient outcome by guaranteeing that interventions are customized to meet each patient's needs and assess for efficacy. A key conclusion of the case study and the survey is the capacity for evaluating results via patient input. So based on this one, then the survey also identifies a number of variables, including workload, administrative support, knowledge, and attitude that may influence clinical application of nurse care plan. And then the nurse's expertise in pain management was essential to carry out the successful care plan in care study. In this case study, nevertheless, obstacles noted in the survey like excessive workload and insufficient training might prevent comparable initiatives in different contexts. The case study demonstrates how, in the face of potentially overwhelming situation, having a clear plan can help alleviate these obstacles by offering directions and concentrations. The case study also highlights the way in which nurses' professional development is improved and patients benefit from the implementation of nursing care plan. Through organized assessment and intervention planning, the participating nurse increased her self-assurance and sharpened her critical thinking abilities. This is consistent with survey results that indicate high utilization of care plan by nurses due to increased knowledge and training, eventually improve nurses' satisfaction and patients' care qualities. So if we actually set to plan patient care, assessing the patient, having a related diagnosis, having an implementation, and also sitting down to evaluate your care, what went wrong and what were the key points or notes that you were supposed to do, you will be able to really provide holistic care for your patient's recovery. So based on this survey, I recommend that the nursing administration supervision is key in implementing nursing audits to evaluate the patient's care. So constantly we have to organize an audit to guide our nurses in how guide and also assess them, how they provide their care, how they manage their cases, and some of the challenges they have in applying this care plan. And then we also have to use the plan in our handing over. During our ward runs, you realize that the doctors, when they are attending to their patient, they present on the patient cases, how they assess the patient, how the problems that the patient have, the current treatment, and the rest. So when we also use our nursing care plan doing our handing over, it will also help. So you start by handing over the patient, telling the nurses what happened during the night, maybe it's a night shift or afternoon, during the shift time. This patient have this complaint. This is the diagnosis we give to the patient, and this is how far we've managed the patient. It will really help with the patient recovery, and it will also help us to have a plan. Because if we are not, you are not, if you don't assess the patient to have all those complaints and problems with the patient, you cannot really have the diagnosis, you cannot really have a plan, you cannot really implement anything. You will just be there doing the routine care and you have closed. So that is about the handing over. And promotion and care career advancement, but that is to demonstrate the use of nursing process for career growth. So we also have to have presentation with the teachings of other colleagues also, and use it as part of our work, daily work that we do on the ward. It will also enhance our work. Further research will also have to be extended on the various units on the ward, because this one was only focused on the female ward. We can also do another survey on the various units to also support our care as well. So in conclusion, the non-use of nursing process by professional nurses in Ghana is significantly concerned that requires immediate attention for nurse leaders and policymakers by implementing effective supervision strategies, providing necessary resources and support, and prioritizing continuous education. Nurse leaders can empower nurses to bridge gap between theory and practice, ultimately enhancing the nurse professional autonomy and quality of patient care in Ghana. These are my...
Yes. Thank you very much.
Please.
I think we have been enlightened. We should not go and be doing only doctors' orders. There's a lot you can also do as a nurse, utilizing the nursing process. I always tell my colleagues that the stethoscope is not for anybody in the world. Don't always reserve it for the doctor. And you assess your patient. From there, you get your problems, formulate your diagnosis, plan your care, implement, then you can evaluate, and that makes your work easy. Let's give her another round of applause. Okay, so we'll take 3 to 5 questions. And before the questions, I've been asked by the table behind that we all need to do some registration for today's session. So if you have not done it, you said? Okay. All protocols observed.
Mine is not actually a question. Thank you very much for this insightful presentation. I step out a little, so I didn't see if you have any suggestion for further studies.
To the various units, do other exploration for them to see what they also do and how best they can also apply it in their care on the various wards.
Yes, my question is, one of your team said routine activity and then instruction of the doctors. I don't know whether we'll be able to do the nursing care plan in the ICU. I don't know how practical that will be, but I'm thinking that our routine activity in the ICU is like the care plan. Because if somebody have the catheter in place, how often do we do the so maybe my next study is to look at that routine, where we got those routine activities from. Whether it's the care plan that we got it from, or it's a nursing something somewhere. I don't know. Because it looks like the routine looks like the nursing orders turning to hourly. That's what we do if you are in the ICU. And it's the same care plan.
This one, because I was on the ward, and not really on the
yes,
ICU.
I'm applying it to the ICU.
Okay.
So I said it's not a question, but I'm asking there. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You said that's the same thing you wanted to say. You say it anyway. Okay, you say it.
So thank you very much. And I want to say that mostly in the ICU, we have the ICU charts. Then we have the limbs also. So what I realize is that sometimes if you don't take care, we'll be doing something like a double work. Doing the paperwork at the same time, typing the same paper thing on the limbs while the patient is there looking at us. So sometimes we'll fulfill the documentation properly by neglecting the patient, because if you say I should do 2 hourly, I'm there trying to make sure that every documentation goes pepe. Some of the things I'm supposed to do to the patient, we may skip it. Secondly, to realize that the next meet on the limbs, most of the time, the things we'll go and do there, as Principal was saying, we might have already done it in our ICU care that we are giving to the patients, and already even doing it. So finishing those procedures, doing them, then come and sit down, come and type all this next meet. Maybe somebody cannot even type fast. Then the work is still waiting for us. The patient is still suffering. So, so maybe if we can also look at that.
Yes, this part is the portion of where they say overload, workload. Okay, so you have to have a sheet of paper to jot some of the things you have done, maybe point. When you finish, maybe you emptied patient urine, you have to indicate it. Then you go back on the limbs to document it. And the same thing, you have document on the limbs, medication, vital signs, fluid intake and output. When you finish, you have to also go back to the care plan site to also redocument it there. So that one too was another challenge under the workload that the nurses also complain. But we still have to go through all this process to also support our patient care, because documentation is another key in our nursing care.
Because if it's not documented, thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a good presentation. Thank you so much. So this is how I understand it. I don't work in the ICU anyway, but I have experience in the ICU, some experience. This is how I see it. The ICU form comes with the plan for the patient already, but we have different patients with different problems. We have 3 patients in the ICU. Maybe not all of them might have, or want of a better way, the tubings. Like, it's not everybody that has, let's say, a catheter in or something. So the plan of patient A will be different from the plan of patient B. And you can find all that on the ICU form. So maybe for this patient, we are turning 4 hourly. It's part of your plan. You are putting it down. Then the next patient, maybe his urine is not maybe 2 hourly like we do for all the patients. He is a bit improved, so his is 2 hourly, but somebody's own is 1 hour and hourly. So that is where the plan comes in. So it doesn't go and be like fixed for all. Like every patient is treated the same way. That is where that is where the plan comes in. So plan for each of your patients individually, so I can give proper care for each of the patients. When it comes to the nursemaid, I think that, okay, for our center, we are looking out, maybe facing out the paper. Everything will go into the nursemaid, so that you don't have to do double work. But ICU is a bit difficult. You know, ICU is kind of somehow new to us. We are now having more critical care nurses. Most of the nurses there are not critical care nurses. So it will take time, but on the ward we are okay. It's you need to plan. When you come, you plan before you implement. Thank you.
Thank you. No, you.
All right, thank you. I dashed out to get a charger, but I didn't get most of your presentation. But I sense there's a challenge with documentation, doing double work. Actually, there are some of the system software for medical record system. It doesn't actually capture the nursing care plan as we see.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change.